During my freshman year at a small commuter college in Delaware, I had a poorly structured schedule. I'd arrive on campus around 3 p.m., attend a couple of classes, and then have a 2-hour gap before my next one. This left me stuck on campus until about 9 p.m. each day. Looking back, I wasn't very outgoing during those early college days. I could have spent my free time socializing in the food hall, joining clubs, or visiting the library. But instead, I mostly kept to myself. Twice a week, after my second class, I had one more class held in a basement classroom in one of the business buildings. The basement felt isolated, with only 2 classrooms, and it was rare for anyone else to be down there. Most days, I'd go straight to that classroom, eat my food, and do homework on my laptop. Or sometimes I'd just kill time by playing games or watching videos on my phone. One day, however, things took an odd turn. I was feeling lazy and didn't prepare food for myself, so I had to go to the cafeteria to grab a sandwich. As I ate, I realized that I was the only person sitting alone at a table, while nearly everyone else was with friends. This made me feel uncomfortable, so I quickly finished my sandwich and decided to head down to the basement classroom early, where I usually spent my break. It was dark when I walked back to the business hall. I made my way down to the basement, sat at my usual spot in the classroom, and started eating the rest of my sandwich. Just as I was about to finish, I heard the door creak open behind me. Since I was sitting in the back corner by the door, I turned and found myself face to face with a guy I'd never seen before. He was probably a couple of years older than me, with an unkempt beard, glasses, and a bit of a belly. I'd never seen him in any of my classes. We made awkward eye contact for a moment. Then I looked away and tried to continue eating. The guy sat down at a desk right next to mine, which struck me as odd. I wanted to ask why he chose to sit there, but instead, I just tried to ignore him and focus on my food. I checked the time, and I still had about an hour and a half before class started. At one point, I glanced up and, out of the corner of my eye, saw that he was staring at me. That was enough to unsettle me. I finished my sandwich, grabbed my bag, and walked out of the classroom, not really caring where I went. I just needed to get out of there. As I stepped back outside into the cool evening, I walked around the campus for a while before heading to a more wooded area near the edge of campus. I sat down on a bench under a bright light post, trying to get some peace. It was a little chilly since it was late fall, but I didn't mind. This area of campus was quiet, surrounded by trees, and a small, mostly unused parking lot. I thought it would be a nice place to sit and relax. Suddenly, I heard the crunching of leaves behind me. I looked around and saw something moving between 2 pine bushes. At first, I thought it was just some animal, but when I squinted, I realized it was the same guy from the classroom. He wasn't even trying to hide. His face was visible as he stood there, staring at me. I felt a wave of panic hit me, and I quickly stood up. Before I could turn to leave, he cut through the bushes and called out to me, "Hi." He started talking to me, and the way he spoke was unnerving. He overly enunciated every word, making the whole conversation feel forced and unnatural. He asked me a barrage of questions: where I went to school, what my major was, where I worked, what I did for fun. It made me uncomfortable, but I tried to be polite and answered his questions, even asking him some in return. Eventually, he asked for my phone number. I don't know why I gave it to him. I think I was just trying to be polite. But as soon as I did, he got even stranger. He asked where I lived. I gave him the name of my hometown, but he pressed further, asking for my exact address. I hesitated, unsure of what to say. I repeated my answer, but he insisted again, saying, "No, where do you live?" I couldn't explain why, but the whole situation felt wrong. So I quickly said, "I have to go," and walked away as fast as I could. When I looked back, he was following me. I decided to skip my class that night and just drove home, feeling unsettled. When I got back to my apartment, I crashed into bed and started working on some homework. After finishing a short paper, I checked my phone and saw that my inbox was flooded with texts from a number I didn't recognize. There were around 20 messages from that same guy. The text started off with simple things like, "Hey," but then he got creepier, saying things like, "You have a nice house." A feeling of dread washed over me as I read them. I decided to respond, telling him to leave me alone and that I'd call the police if he didn't stop. Just as I hit send, I heard a knock at my window. I couldn't see who it was through the closed shade, but I recognized the voice. It was him. He said, "Open the window." My heart raced, and I yelled back that I was calling the police. He went silent after that, but I didn't take any chances. I immediately called the police. They arrived a short time later, and I showed them the texts and explained everything that had happened. They told me that while he hadn't made any direct threats yet, it was best to monitor the situation. They advised me to block his number and to call again if he returned. The next morning, the college sent out an alert to all students warning them about a young man who had been seen around campus with a knife. They canceled classes for the day, and the police conducted a search of the entire campus. I gave my statement to the police again, but as far as I know, they never caught the guy. I still don't know why he singled me out or what his intentions were, but that day left me shaken. It was the story of how I almost became the victim of someone I met at school, someone who, thankfully, never got close enough to harm me.